Conservation Commission. Conservation Commission of Waterville Valley. 3:01 p.m. And we'll do a quick roll call. We can start with Becca.
Rebecca Hastings, that's my official name.
Charles Hastings, member.
John Racine, ex officio member.
Garrett Levy, chair.
Jenny Lucas, member.
Cindy Picos, alternate.
And Becca, would you prefer that we write Rebecca?
I think that's the way it is on the
Okay.
website, so.
That's how we'll type, that's how we'll write.
For legal purposes, it should be Rebecca.
Okay. Great. I did not hear back from Rick Vanderpool. Perhaps Mark has? No.
He is not.
Okay, I'll just assume that if we haven't heard from him, there is no update.
That's where I stand right now. Yes.
Okay,
But my impression is he was not going to be active, really doing much in Stones Brook until the early fall.
Yes, just of the foliage.
Right.
okay. Did he contact you?
He has not gotten back to me yet.
Oh, right.
I will have a contact before our next meeting, and I'll email you as soon as.
Okay. Regarding the funding, I think it was?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's, number 4, review and approve minutes of July 26th. Hopefully you had a chance to look at them.
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Right.
Do we have a vote to approve the minutes of July 26th? We vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Is there privilege of the floor?
Not unless you want me to talk about the shoreline protection.
Oh, yeah, but we do have that down below, but if you'd like to,
Okay, no, I'll do that when
You can-
it's on there.
okay. Very good. Regarding lot 32C and the surveyor, after 4 weeks of making calls, we finally got someone in Littleton. You wanted us to hire a surveyor for the lot. Do you remember that, Charles? Okay,
My memory may be at fault here. I think we decided that we would look the lot over as a commission
yes.
in whatever it was in that date.
Mhm,
And then based on what we saw there and what we
mhm.
foresaw perhaps doing with the property, we would decide if it's worth hiring someone to actually survey it out or not.
Mm,
I thought that's how we left it. If we want to survey it ahead of time. Oh, okay, except if we're really not going to do much with it, then maybe we lose the money.
mm. Okay, so this is the story with that surveyor out of
Okay.
Littleton. I forget the name of it. They are so backed up that they wouldn't see us until next spring. So it's not like we have to make a decision right now. I
Okay,
just wanted someone lined up.
okay,
We needed to line up because it takes almost a year to get someone.
good.
In the minutes from the last meeting, it talks about that the need to have the lot surveyed was discussed, the importance of which depends on what the town wishes to do with it. It was agreed that we will plan a walkthrough of the parcel in the fall and discuss options at that time. So sounds like that's.
We're good.
we're
So it's
good.
okay.
Yeah,
So we can decide,
Yeah, you'll just not have the surveyor until the summer,
oh yeah,
if you will. So,
they won't even call us until 2 months from now.
yeah,
So we're fine.
well, could I just make a suggestion? Get on their list to have them call you.
Yes,
Then you can walk it. And then if you want to tell them never mind.
Yeah.
You can,
mhm,
but get them
yes,
to at least call you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
that's where we are.
Because you're gonna be in the fall of next year
Mhm,
if you wait.
okay,
until you go.
that's fine. So we're on the list
I
for a
agree with
call.
that.
Good. Okay. Yeah, at that time, we'll hear what the estimate might be. And John, perhaps you have an update as to what that compromise statement was agreed on for the master plan. Do you have that?
One moment, please. Accessing files.
I can hear the.
Can you see?
Um,
see the blue circles, but
I do have it, but.
The document's 110 or so pages.
Yeah.
141 to be
Oh,
exact.
is that right?
Okay.
Nice.
All right, should we wait, or
No.
do you think you have it?
But how exciting that we have one, and it's
Mhm.
a master
a
plan.
master plan.
Is it complete then? It
Well,
is.
They're having a session, right,
Right.
Mark?
Final
September
draft.
20th at 6 p.m. Is it on the town website?
Yep.
It is. If you go to the homepage of the town website, there's a little white box in the middle. Yeah. Click on the view all. And it's about the fourth or fifth item down. You can click on it and it will take you,
Oh.
will link you to the entire.
All right. Okay, I think we have it.
And then let me just, Sheila, let me just tell you
Mhm.
that we stopped right there.
So right here,
Yeah,
stop there. So this is Xed out,
well, no, this is a.
new
this-
paragraph,
Yeah,
new paragraph, okay. All right, I'll quickly read it. It is chapter 5.5, historic resources. This highlighted text has revisions. Is this going to be in the master plan too? This comment?
we got the right one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'll read what I have. This is a final draft,
It is.
final draft. This,
Well, if he's got the right one, it's fine.
yeah,
I
Oh,
don't think, I
yeah.
don't think that's. gonna
It might
be
not be
this
the
highlighted
final.
text.
right, it's in
You
parentheses,
know,
so,
something, it's not the final.
okay, not the final draft,
There was a meeting, right? You
Yes.
Modified that one.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't know which
Yeah.
draft this is.
But this is what,
That's what they said.
Well, there's something on the back.
this is what they said.
Okay,
Actually, just-
you might have it.
Bring it up online.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure this is it, but they had to separate that.
Mhm.
Check with Mark.
He's pulling out on the last time.
It's why I'm outside.
You know, it's a little better in here than it's out there.
Yeah, it is. Nice.
This is our first summer without AC.
Oh,
But it's been.
One thing,
I
I'm
might.
going on this.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you rarely do it.
The,
It's too sticky. Even if it's 60
Yeah.
degrees.
Oh.
I know.
Oh,
So while he's looking that up.
There it is.
Got it.
All right.
That's forward.
Native.
okay, we're good?
Oh, you want to read it?
Yeah.
Yep,
You can read it. Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Mark will read it.
okay, Mark, sorry.
Native Americans, collectively later known as the Abenaki, almost certainly hunted, fished, and generally stewarded the land, now known as Waterville Valley, for thousands of years. Although no archaeological or documentary evidence of Abenaki settlements have yet been found in Waterville Valley, there was likely a trail through the valley linking the Abenaki settlements in the Holderness Plymouth area to those in the Conway.
okay,
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah,
that's fine.
because they used to travel. In a book I have, an old book of Holderness, it states that there was a trail from the Quebec province all the way through and do the ocean for their summer habitat of
Okay.
fishing, eating lobster, clams, and that, and they'd hike back north and
Mm.
hunt over the winter as they traveled north. So.
Mhm.
Okay,
And this is in a history section, no, it's in the 5.5 historic resource. Mhm. Good, that's fine.
Yeah. So, thanks,
okay. Can we have an update on the water project in the West Branch Road section?
Yep, the contractor is temporarily out of town. They will be back the week of September 9th, September 12th to continue the project. We have 100% of the 8-inch main laid between the new river crossing and the treatment building. The 6-inch line is probably about 30 or 40% complete. All of the work getting across the road, I say all, we may have to open part of the road up again, but most of the road crossing is finished. There's probably another, given they've had difficult digging between road and the treatment building, a lot of very big lots that they've had, some of them bigger than this table. So it's been pretty slow, but they should be able within a week to get the 6-inch line and electrical conduit installed. Once they do that, then there'll be a lot of digging around well building 2 and the new treatment building as they connect well 3 and well 2 to the treatment building itself. So that area right there, people will not be able to utilize the connector. I'm hopeful that by then it'll be identifiable to use the new trail. And for people, it won't be open to bicycles, but foot traffic, you probably can go around and then either get out on West Branch Road or use the new trail. We're still on track to finish this fall. The interior work, there's probably another week or 2 in digging, probably 2 weeks, given the work around the buildings. Once that's finished, then there's a lot of interior work with electronics, the new control systems, the new pumps. That's all inside the building, so that'll be pretty low impact on the town. And we should have everything done by before mid-October. There will be, the fence will be one of the last things to go up. They obviously have to finish off.
Right.
New pump up, yes.
Have you decided, we were talking last time about what kind of safety measure would be put around that fence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
The new pump for well 3 will be done at the same time when the pump for well 2 is done. Because those pumps need to be changed out, because all we're doing is pumping to the building. Right, not those pumps that are in there right now are very high capacity, high lift pumps, because they have to pump all the way to the reservoir on top of Snow's Mountain. So those pumps are coming out, much smaller pumps with variable speed drives that can be installed. Much more energy efficient, so a lot better. And those will just be pumping the water to the treatment building where we have the big high level pumps to go up to the reservoirs.
Is that where all the reservoirs are up there on Snow's Mountain?
We have 2 reservoirs, 330,000 gallons and 500,000 gallons. Wow. We did have a water main break last week. Right there, actually not in the new work that they've done, and it was not because of the new project, but it was in that same trench area. But we had that repaired within 4 or 5 hours. We got water restored.
Mark, does are there any lines that go across the street underneath the bridge? Is there anything in there that goes through a line or anything?
There is a low pressure sewer line that is hung on the bridge. And then telephone, electric, TV, those are all on the bridge. And so, yeah, there's a lot hanging on.
How does that survive in the winter?
We have a heat tape on it.
Oh, okay,
And that is activated in the fall.
okay.
When the weather changes, then we shut it.
Yeah.
So,
Mm,
yeah. And that's the sewer line that services West Point Road.
Okay. And that access trail to the ski country is gonna be on the roadside, between the road and the
Connector trail from the end of the bridge to the treatment buildings is going to be discontinued the way it is right now along the river.
Yeah.
It will now take the new trail along the road, go around the treatment building and come back onto the connector trail.
right.
and that'll be all set for the winter,
Mhm.
so they can ski on.
Yeah,
Hope so.
we have done it as long as Ian gets in there and cleans it up. Sure,
Oh, so
ready to
the,
go.
the mountain is,
Yeah,
working
I
on it.
mean, they have to turn it into the ski trail.
they're the
I
ones that
mean,
do it.
we cleared it.
Okay,
I think it's been grown. I don't know. I think they worked it out. So now it's just Ian going in there with some kind of machine or whatever he's gonna do to work his magic. And
okay,
the ski trail.
Okay. Thank you for that. Are we going to get a picture of what the fence looks like for those two buildings? Is it a chain link
Well,
fence?
it is a chain link fence. Yep. Chain link security fence.
Okay.
Similar but taller than the one, it's similar to the one out at Well.
Well,
Creek,
four, yeah.
but tall. And well, yes.
Well, four.
And it will not be, green. It will be something.
okay.
Okay.
And can we grapevines and.
Sweetgrass. Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, thank you for that update. Number 7, a new item. We've talked about the drought on occasion.
Yep.
And I know some people feel that the valley has more than plenty of water. I still think we should be talking about water conservation, whether we have a drought or not.
We talk about water conservation. It is a permanent item on the selectmen's meeting
Mhm,
agenda now. We review it every 2 weeks
mhm.
with them. We are currently in abnormally dry, so we've stepped up. We've improved from the minor drought status that we were in. Over the last 2 to 3 weeks, we have gone to abnormally dry, which is the lowest
Mm.
classification of drought here in the state. We have gotten just barely enough rain to make that change, and we're still pretty close to the line between minor drought and abnormally dry. And so we are watching the water levels. The water levels in the wells are down slightly, but not concerning at this point. The selectmen have taken the position to ask people to voluntarily conserve. They have not adopted any mandatory actions yet.
Yeah.
But they do review it every month. So I'm sorry, I don't have the exact numbers for you, but we are tracking around just a little under 2020, which was a pretty bad year
Yeah.
precipitation wise. I don't know what the impact of the rain the last couple of weeks has been.
Right.
We will do a report to the selectmen at the September 14th selectmen's meeting.
Okay.
Dylan gives us end of the month numbers.
Right.
For water and sewer use and for precipitation, because we track it every day.
So when you make a comment like volunteer conservation, where would we read this? Where would we read, we're asking for volunteers to be conservative with their water?
We have not put it on the town website, but we will put it on the town website and get that out there.
So-
It is, right now, we are past the peak. Actually, we're past most of the irrigation issues, and really the only problem that I think we're facing here in town is irrigation use of the public water supply. There are some homes that have their own wells but we don't necessarily encourage that either, because there is a chance for cross connection. So if people are going to use private wells or want to use private wells for irrigation, that has to be a very strictly monitored system.
Do they
And
have to get a
have
special permit from the town and all of
They
that?
they do need a special permit by the water sewer regs, and we need to be able to inspect that at any time we want. Unannounced, because we can't have a private water system cross-connected to the public water system. So,
Right,
And
so, yes, sorry, that's one issue, but my major point was, couldn't we say something about being conservative, whether or not we have a drought? Because if people think we have all the water, I mean, it's Waterville Valley, we have all the water we need, I can take a shower for an hour, that's very different. So in other words, instead of waiting for a drought condition,
mhm.
say something in our water bill perhaps. Please conserve water,
Mhm.
something.
The drawback to that is, then when there is a shortage of water, you've already said that. Right, it'll have less effect.
No, it's something stronger language when you have a drought.
But, and that's one reason, that is, Charles, one of the reasons that the selectmen have been careful
Mhm.
about making, huge public issues about getting water conservation out there, because we are in pretty good shape. Our water right now, we're down maybe a few inches in our water table. There are communities in the state that are down feet,
Mm.
and they're facing
Yeah.
issues where their wells are becoming unserviceable.
Oof, yeah.
We are nowhere near that at this point. But we were 2 years ago, we were down over a foot.
Yeah.
And that's concerning, because, you have a limited amount to work with in the aquifer. So
Mhm.
at that time, we put mandatory controls in place, right? And so the selectmen want to be pretty, pardon the pun, selective about it, and come out with a public position on it when it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
We go back and forth, like, every day, we
Yeah.
could be drought, not drought.
So
So.
there are a couple of things that I think Brenda and Becca's got the same idea. But we're at Noon Peak, and our F building has just been getting power washed, cleaned up and stained, and we both try very hard to conserve water. I water my flowers with dehumidifier water if I can. And in order to power wash, that faucet was open full blast.
And they use that
Days
all the time, yeah.
and days.
Yeah.
Just astounding the volume of water that goes into power wash. I don't know what to say
And
about
that's
this.
shut, that's treated public water.
Yeah.
That's,
Yes,
not only do we have
right,
the water conservation side, but that costs the taxpayers a lot of money
right,
to pump that water
Yes.
and to treat it.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
time of the.
yeah,
snap.
it's not gray water,
Everything
it's
else, it's
treated
not
water.
gray.
I
Yeah,
mean,
there's a difference between, okay. Our building for some reason doesn't have an outside spigot, but the individual units have one on their deck. The building across from us has an outside. Now are those Is that untreated?
It's in somebody's water bill, but
Yeah.
no, it's the same water.
Same treated water.
Yeah.
Could a recommendation be made that, is it Bill Eno sets up their power washing for painting reasons up there?
Yeah, they're staying, and that's standard practice, I think nowadays, nobody goes out with a steel wool brush, they power wash.
I'm sure, and they apply paint pretty much the same way now. My question is, has it ever been brought up to him, just from a point of view that they hire a water truck and utilize that? That is gray water. It's not town water.
Well,
For as often as they do it,
It's not, well, depending on where you get it from, it's not always great water,
Mm.
but yet that is not part of our regulations. There is no control, the town has not adopted any controls to that level.
and our
Is it
new,
something that you guys would talk to the selectmen about? Absolutely, that's your purview as conservation.
our new league association is not going to pay it, we bring in the water truck, unless, because that's gonna cost a lot
Plus
more.
more, yeah.
well,
So we're not gonna do that unless there
Yeah.
is some incentive. from the
That's
town to
right.
Do it.
Well,
You know, if you have a situation like that, we do not have provisions for putting a water meter onto a private outdoor spigot for a commercial use, but maybe that's what gets put in. Because when the mountain uses, sometimes like the water that comes out of our hydrants is also treated water.
Yes.
Yes, that's.
Oh,
Well,
All
it
part
has
of the
to be
same
because that is why we
That's the
have
water.
the reservoirs.
right,
That's for fire protection.
right.
That's the majority of why we have water. And it provides you pressure, the water pressure in the houses. So,
Uh-huh.
but we could, so when the mountain uses water to make snow for the training area by the arena, for the cross-country
Yeah.
training area, we put a meter on the hydrant and they pay us for the
Mhm.
water they use.
Okay,
We could adopt an ordinance where we could have a water meter if it's a commercial use. And we can bill that separately, because that's what happens now.
but that should go through their association first.
Well, we could do it as part of it, but it is not in our regulation to do that right now. It's only in our regulation to do it if it's coming off of the hydrants.
Yeah.
Or a similar setup.
so we don't have a separate pipe that is untreated water.
No.
We either
No.
have clean water or we have sewer water. That's it.
Yes.
There's
The
no
sewer-
gray
sewer
water.
Water comes up clean, right?
Well, yeah,
The sewer
Oh, that's
water-
true. We could that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
I still wouldn't drink it. So-
No.
My second-
but
my second question, I can follow up here and then I'll shut up. a minute. We've talked about how the Conservation Commission, in fact, Mark had suggested that we add this as a regular item to our agenda, issues of water conservation.
okay,
I don't know what our role or what our powers would be in doing this. So I don't know where to go with that.
Well, you are the board that is supposed to monitor water resources for the town.
Mhm.
That is one of your items in statute. That you, and so in that vein, you receive permit requests, right, for construction and things like that. And you can make recommendations to the selectmen
Mhm.
about the water and sewer regulations and propose changes to it.
Okay.
So that they can then decide whether or not to put that on the warrant.
We had talked, when Dylan was here and you were here, I talked to you guys about the sprinkler systems and the new homes that are being built. And Dylan said that they were gonna look into it and maybe charge them differently for using the water. Has anything been done
On the irrigation systems?
in the
Not yet.
homes? Not yet,
No.
okay,
But we do have a record of those homes that have those systems.
okay. I saw in the master plan, there's a change in that now.
There is.
Yes, I did read that.
And
Sorry.
again,
That's okay.
Don't leave it just up to the select. come in and ask them to do that.
Okay,
They'll look at Dylan and I and we'll come up with and if you want to look at the water sewer regs, we can have Dylan come in again.
okay.
You can go through the regulations themselves and make recommendations for changes. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Small question about the water, sewer, trash bill. Right now, we have, you look at your bill, on the left side, it just says water and sewer.
Yeah.
Broken down. Trash is like just on the right side.
Mhm.
Do you plan to change that form and put trash right underneath water sewer?
No, actually, well, it is believe it or not, it is a computer programming issue
Oh,
with the company that provides the software. And the reason that the trash is over on the right-hand side, we have asked to move it around, but it is a subcategory
Mhm.
of the sewer bill. So, that's just the way, that's the only way that we can include it on that bill.
Does it make it difficult to read? Is that,
The numbers are all over on the
Oh, there,
right side.
it's clear when you analyze the thing, but if people say, what do you mean the trash bill? The trash bill's part of the water sewer bill. They don't see it.
okay,
So,
Maybe we can.
Minor
ask them to do so. We have asked them to move it over to
Yeah.
the left so that it was all.
so you know it's a water sewer trash bill.
And actually, it's not though. If you look at our financial records, it's a water and sewer bill that has trash under sewer.
Okay,
So that's what I'm talking about. The
Yeah.
billing system
Mhm.
is not built for all three
Right.
categories.
right,
It's built for two categories
okay.
in the program.
Mhm.
And so we had to create the trash as a subset of.
Yeah.
So we can talk to them. It would be. It was very expensive the last time.
Yeah.
And so I figured moving it over left.
Yeah.
A couple of inches.
Yeah.
Or an inch and a half was not for.
No,
Yeah.
no, we don't need to spend extra money on that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, people ask me, what do
No,
you
I
mean?
get-
How much do we pay for trash? I said, it's on your bill. What do you mean?
Yeah.
People aren't looking.
They
People
aren't.
don't read.
Yeah.
They don't
Just
read
ask them to look down. and
On the
it's
right,
a little
just
bit
on the
offset
right.
to the right. And check it out. We'll be happy to answer their questions and direct them to
Right.
us.
Right, so any other,
Yes, Mark, so a question about the water and sewer at the mountain,
Yeah,
does that? Is that all run, of course, it must run down into our system. And how is that billed to them? Same as it is with us, or,
they have their own water because they have wells up there.
okay,
They, we take their sewer in a pressure line now. Down the mountain and it gets treated at the wastewater treatment plant, the liquids. They have basically what's a huge septic tank, about 3,000, 2,500,
oh,
3,000 gallon septic tank up there. The liquid comes off, goes into that pressurized sewer line and gets treated at the plant. The solids are pumped out once or twice a year, depending on use. And those get brought down to the plant like any other septic.
mhm,
it brings it to
We-
our plant.
no,
Yes, to our, every town has to provide septic disposal for their town, either with their own system or with an agreement with another town.
Yeah.
So we take the septic. That will change, that system will change with the new plan.
Okay.
mhm.
I don't know how yet, but it will change.
So does that line from the mountain cross the river somewhere?
Yes, right by the plant.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do they pay separately for that?
They pay us sewer fees.
Okay,
They pay us the commercial sewer fee. So X number of gallons of water run through their meter. They have a water meter up
Okay.
there that's attached to their private water.
okay,
We read that every quarter and we bill them sewer only on that reading.
okay,
just like all the commercials?
Just like all the commercials, that's based on usage, water usage.
Got it, thank you.
Good. All right. Does this committee feel a need to increase our annual funding from 400 to 2,000? We do have a few expenses coming up.
Where did 2,000 come from? Did we?
Arbitrary, really. I think we're 400. We might be 500, 400. So we're planning to put up signs or along our.
I'm pretty sure you're at $2,000
Oh,
annual budget already,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. We have to pay Rick Vanderpool for his services too.
No,
I forgot
well,
that.
don't get the project confused with his regular
Okay,
work. The
just in
project is-
general.
The project is paid for with the capital.
Oh, the 50,000, right, right.
50,000,
Okay,
right?
right.
Let me check out, I can check.
Thank you, Steve, for,
Yeah,
yeah, I thought if we asked 2,000, they would agree to.
There's
Can
no
I
more.
do that? Can I
You
not?
already got that.
You win.
There you go.
Conservation. Yeah, that's. Conservation Commission. Conservation, yeah, 2,000.
Well, good memory, Steve. Wow.
This was the first year of 2000. It was for.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Yeah,
And I'm not sure why we increased that this year. I'd have to go back and look at my budget notes, but there was a project or something separate from the 50,000 that you had talked about. That we had talked about, and I can't remember what it was, but I'll go back and look.
no problem. It's better to have 2,000 in the budget than to ask you for, can we have $100, Daddy? Can we have another $500? We don't want to do that.
Just to echo something that came up at the annual meeting of the History Society. Someone asked the question, so what are you doing with your money?
Mhm.
And so if people find out that we're getting 2,000 a year, someone might say, well, what's that going to?
Mhm.
I don't think I know how to answer that.
Well, there were years where we didn't spend any of that 400 or 500, and there's a project right there.
Very good, thank you.
That's one project, but what happens to that unspent money?
Is reverse to fund them.
It refers to fund balance. Yeah, fund balance, so we can pay other things
No,
with
no,
it.
no, it goes away.
It goes away, right, to
Goes
fund
away,
balance,
yeah.
not to our, the
Right.
town fund balance, not to our fund balance.
Can we ask these same people if they have money in a savings account, what are they doing with it? Why does everybody have to know every nickel?
Well, because it's there.
It's, that's all right. That's all right.
You know, and that's the way I've been doing it for 30 years. It's not my money. I have to be
Yeah.
able to account for every penny.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's not that.
It's fine. We do have a
So-
project coming up.
But you have natural resources inventory that you have to think about updating. You have, you might have reviews. Now it's coming back to me about things that we talked about. You have reviews potentially of plans that you may want to comment on for development plans. You may want to do.
I think we are.
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah,
yeah, so I mean, you have incident, if you want to do a mailing, mailings
Right.
now are several
Right.
hundred.
Yeah.
dollars.
Yeah.
So there are items you could spend that on, but Charles is right, you've spent $0 this year. So you should start thinking now about what your ask is going to be in 2023. And what you're gonna say if you've only spent $0.
right. So as you just reminded us, the NRI is coming up in,
You have another quarter, you have another 3 months to go.
That's
sorry, 4 months, I can't. count.
That's all?
4 months left in the year.
Then we have to rehire Rick to do this?
No, he's not
No,
about to spend
no.
the 2,000.
Oh,
Well, yeah.
I'm thinking, oh, you can't
The
just save the
NRI,
money.
you're not doing a whole NRI for the $2,000. You can visit
Yeah.
sections of it
Right.
and ask Rick to
Update.
give you whether or not this needs to be changed.
Revised,
whether or
okay.
not, right? I
Okay.
mean, The NRI cost us $40,000.
I don't
So-
remember that.
Yes.
It seems to me one of the most valuable things we can do with that money and with our access to it is to use him as an advisor. Questions come up,
Yes,
And
we can pay to give his advice. I'm very
Right.
efficient.
at this point, he bills the town. Right?
Depends on-
It
His
was
hourly-
that one.
It would,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Right now, the only work he has done has been associated with the project, with $50,000.
Right.
He has not done anything billable that we've seen that goes against the $2,000.
Okay.
So you have, Charles, I think you're absolutely right. Have him look at the NRI. He doesn't have to change anything, but he can tell you
mhm.
what may need to be updated.
Yes,
That's gonna cost a few $100 for
Right.
him to do that,
right.
but that's a good way to use
Right.
the 2,000.
And one of those items may be the old forest that we talked about. The old,
You're getting ahead of yourself.
I am,
Or is that a? is
if
that
he's
correct?
going to revise our NRI and add the old growth forest, that might be a little revision right there.
I don't know if we want to get into this. We're not sure to what extent we want to call widespread public
Okay.
attention to that.
We're gonna keep it secret, guys.
Well, keeping it secret is one thing, but publicizing it.
Yeah.
using
Right.
reference to
It's gonna be on
publicize it.
YouTube.
Now it's,
Right.
now it's, sorry.
I mean, we haven't talked about what we want to do with it, so I don't know. I mean, I'm excited by it.
Yeah.
The one you mentioned about Greeley Ponds.
Yes, did you see that?
Yeah, but that blew down in nineteen
No, it's
thirty-eight.
gone. It's gone
Is
now.
it gone?
Yeah.
Most of that was destroyed in the hurricane of nineteen thirty-eight.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's really-
You didn't respond.
I don't answer everything here.
You don't?
I thought it was
I
awesome
don't
news.
answer everything.
I thought you.
Yeah,
So,
really. No. Okay. Thank you for that update. If Jenny is ready,
Oh.
yeah,
The Beavers. Needless to say, I had a little moment over the Beavers. Just being against killing them when there are other viable options that could have possibly been explored. So I just want to make sure, and I don't know where everybody else on the board sits with this, that if this comes up in the future, that we are part of the process of
Mm.
coming up with a plan.
I like that.
yes, yeah.
I like that a
I
lot.
think that's.
We need to be consulted because when you mentioned it to someone on the AIA, he was a little freaked out because he said it happened before in town.
I didn't
When Dan
realize-
Newton was chair of the AIA, I think it came across his desk. He said this has happened before. No, you don't remember?
This is the purview of the selectmen. It's a town operational
Mhm.
issue. I will make sure that you are copied when you make a recommendation to the board from now on, but the decision is the selectmen's to make.
Right, let them get the options.
Yes,
And then-
we will provide you with
Mhm.
information. Yeah,
We could go in and recommend to the select board though as a commission.
you can, as a commission,
Yeah, we should.
absolutely,
Yeah.
you can make a recommendation to the board that and just so you know, we are talking, we did talk to the Forest Service
Mhm.
about this. This is not our land.
Right,
Those were not the town's beavers, they were the national forests.
right.
And we went through the Pemmy District Ranger and the White Mountain National Forest biologist before we took the action we took, and they concurred with the action. And this was not a knee-jerk reaction, it was at least I want to say 10 days to 2 weeks of conversation between the forest and the town. We provided photographs. We engaged our hydrologist. We asked the forest what they thought some viable options were. They got their hydrologist involved. It was determined by the hydrologist that there was a threat to the public water supply at well 4. And then we got the biologist involved before we engaged DeVoe. So, I do not like to kill the animals either. That is, it's like euthanizing a moose when it gets hit,
Yeah.
Mhm.
or it's like euthanizing a bear because they've gotten out of control.
Yeah.
We don't do it because we like it.
Yeah.
But the overriding concern here was well 4. That cost us well over $1.5 million of an investment of the town's money, and it provides over half of our drinking water. We can't have that threatened. So we did talk with the biologist, White Mountain National Forest biologist. We are going to look into the beaver deceivers. We are going to try to set up something that makes it so we don't have to kill the beavers again.
What is a beaver deceiver?
It's a setup.
I love to see
It's a
it.
setup that is, I don't know if it'll work. It's usually only works in the situation involving a culvert or some other enclosed, but we're gonna give it a chance. We're gonna look at it with the biologists and.
Because I know, Mark, I think it would, we had mentioned this before, and the thing that concerned me, I have a hard time believing if we relocate this guy 15, 20 miles out, he's gonna meander back here.
It's not about meandering back. It's the cost. It's quite frankly, it was the cost of relocating.
I'll do it.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't care.
I understand all of this, and you thoroughly explained everything, and I talked to.
Well,
Brett
I didn't get
Hillman.
a chance to tell them, so.
Oh,
that's
right,
why.
that's true.
Right,
Yeah.
so, I just wanted to, I just wanted to get that out there that we do not want to
Mhm.
do this. It is, and it's the same situation that we faced with well 3, when we had the 3rd bacteria hit in 4 or 5 years. We went out, we saw signs, again, talking to biologists. What could be causing this? There was a lot of beaver activity around there, a lot of human activity. We took not only the steps of removing the beaver, but we redid the whole wellhead area around well 3. We put up the fence. We put in the impervious cover. We're trying to protect the water sources. So, that's, unfortunately, we've had to on 2 occasions since I've been here. So I think 2 occasions in 20 years, we're doing okay. I don't like to do it, but
Mark, given that it's national forest land, can we just recommend, or do we have
our well is on national forest land. They're not gonna pay to do this. We have a special use permit for the well. And so,
So we paid the bill.
yeah, we pay the, we pay, it is our special use permit, so it is not the White Mountain National Forest.
Can we ask how much that cost?
I think the DeVoe bill was $400.
So when this came up at the previous meeting, Mark explained to us as the board and informed us what was going on, which I appreciated. Like many of us, I was dismayed that the beavers had to be killed, couldn't be removed. And I also understood concerns on this going forward. What I didn't really understand is what should have been or should be my role as the conservation commissioner in terms of weighing in on this water as part of the resources. Should I take responsibility to be far more knowledgeable about beavers and wells? Because I couldn't really give any feedback last time. except to listen and be informed.
Wildlife is part of our natural resource.
Right, so if this comes up, are we then expected to be to know something about it, to provide input on this? I didn't have anything to say last month when we did this.
That was my whole reason for being on the agenda today. I would like, if the process is to contact the select board to request that in the future we be brought into the part of any decision-making process, whether or not we can offer any expertise. None of us are beaver experts or
Right.
water experts, but we can be there as residents and as me, like animal lovers, passionate, and knowing the little that I have read, that there are alternatives that could possibly be tried, just to have a voice as opposed to
Input, yeah,
just being
absolutely.
told, oh, this is what we're doing. And
To be informed.
that was mine. Drop it down. No.
Forest Service, no?
Oh. I spoke to the Forest Service wildlife biologist, but not the one who came to speak.
And what was the advice for the future?
Well, he had explained to me that this is not something that the Forest Service is going to allow, on any sort of a ongoing basis if beavers do come back. That was his. And then
They wouldn't allow it? They won't allow the killing?
they're not going to allow lethal trapping at that site repeatedly over and over and over again. This was an
And we're not-
emergency
we're
exception.
not Intending to do it over and over.
Yeah,
We're removing the dams. We are going to look into the beaver deceivers. And if the beavers stay up at the big pond,
That's
they can
fine.
be there forever.
Right.
We don't care.
Right,
It's when they start getting close to well 4 that
That's-
we have an issue.
we understand.
That large pond has been there at least 5 or 6
Right.
years that we
Yeah.
know of. Where it actually has covered up one of our monitoring wells for well 4.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't say anything because it's not threatening the aquifer
Right.
for well 4.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We went and drilled another well. We're not just gonna willy-nilly go up there with a shotgun and start killing beavers. It's not. what
We
we're
get that.
doing. So,
But it is our responsibility to check into it. So the calls were made to the Forest Service. That's what we can do as a Conservation Commission. I'm not an expert. She knew a lot more just from reading books on beavers, so I think that is in our,
and
Well, I
Judge,
do too. I just felt flat-footed last. when
That's
this
all
came
right.
up Before.
we can't know everything, Charles.
Mark, the dam that is there now, there's like 3 dams.
yeah, the 3 little ones are going, when the ground allows us to get up there with equipment, when the foliage is down, we can access it probably during the winter. We're going to take those 3 as much of those 3 smaller dams as we can.
And the bigger one that's in
The
Little
bigger one
Beaver.
all the way up back to the right.
Yeah.
Up in the back.
Yeah.
We're going to leave, that one is fine.
Okay,
That one, in the estimation of our hydrologist, confirmed by the forest hydrologist, that does not present any threat to the aquifer.
okay, great.
That's impressive. though, isn't it?
It really is. And that's something we may want to learn, why beavers are building additional dams in relation to that first one where it wouldn't bother any of them.
Population explosion.
there was,
There
there was a fish and game expert who came to speak to the WBAIA, I don't know when, 2-3
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I asked Dan Newton to give me his name because I thought maybe he could, come speak to us about. it,
Sure.
Just if
Good.
anyone's interested, or we could just do it
That would be great.
for fun on the side.
No,
not
I
have to
think it'd be
as-
great.
It was very interesting.
Any problem with the representation that I just made? Does it contradict anything that you?
No, and you'll see, like, I basically, the article that I wrote for the Wigwag, it says basically exactly what you just said back, that it was, discussed thoroughly with all the various parties and it was just shocking to
No,
hear it,
it was. I mean, you
sort of
guys
out
are
of the
not,
blue.
I mean, you're not there for the 2-week conversation.
right,
prior. I
right.
know that it is shocking when we have to talk about it, that
Yeah.
we had to remove them. but
Yeah.
And so we're doing everything we can to not. do
Yeah.
that.
And thank you for the work. Thank you for protecting our water. It's
No,
so
that is-
important.
And that is really two things I get paid to do, make sure everyone stays safe and it doesn't cost any more money than it has
Right, right.
to do.
Okay.
And those are our two, safety number one,
Right.
and making sure you guys can. all take a
Okay.
shower.
Take a short shower.
Because you-
No hour-long
you
shower.
don't have water and you don't have sewage.
Oh.
That's the problem.
Yes.
That could be a problem.
Okay, we're good. All right, so our next item is about HB 1454. So this is a bill. I'll tell you briefly about it. It's all about new landfill siting. And unfortunately, New Hampshire is a little behind the times in that the DES hasn't updated the requirements, and right now the setback to any water, any body of water is only 200 feet. So that the scientists have ruled inadequate. That's number one. The other thing, and it's not mentioned in the letter that I quote unquote copied. The other thing they don't mention is what's the scientific term for percolating? So not only does the new landfill site need to be way more than 200 feet away from a body of water, it needs to percolate slower so that the poisons, the toxins don't reach our bodies of water. And this, I have to say, affects everyone in New Hampshire. It's not just Dalton and it's not just Bethlehem. We are involved. Every town in New Hampshire is involved because it refers to all new sightings. So we're trying to get the DES to update their requirements, and the bill was passed. The bill was passed, bipartisan vote. Dems and Republicans voted for it. What happened? Sununu vetoed it. So now September 15th is veto override day. So people are up in arms. They spent over 2 years fighting and to get the support from everyone. So they reached out to all the conservation commissions. And I, for one, now that I know about the problem and we are connected, there are neighbors to the north. We are connected. It's our state. We should do things a little better than we have been doing.
Did Sununu give any explanation?
Yeah, here's his letter. Would you
Oh.
like to read it?
Yeah, I'd love to.
I have issue with his sentence. New Hampshire's landfill regulations are already rigorous.
Do you guys know?
Could you read it, Beck?
You've read
You
it?
want me to-
Could you read it?
I haven't read Sununu's
No,
letter.
you want to read it?
You
Rebecca?
want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is from June 24th, Governor's veto message regarding House Bill 1454. By the authority vested in me pursuant to Part 2, Article 44 of the New Hampshire Constitution, on June 24th, 2022, I had vetoed House Bill 1454 relative to permits for the siting of new landfills. I agree with the experts at the Department of Environmental Services, DES, that this bill would have been better suited as a study. It is extremely likely this bill would curtail landfill development in the state and lead to New Hampshire's waste to be transported out of state, creating higher costs and property taxes for our citizens. New Hampshire's landfill regulations are already rigorous and robust. According to DES, there is no data indicating that the lined landfills currently operating and adhering to our regulations in the state are adversely affecting our state's waterways. Therefore, while the intent of this bill is good, it is ultimately a solution in search of a problem. The requirements in HB 1454 would have likely prevented construction of some of the 7 lined landfills operating in the state. Acknowledging the desire to strengthen the state's requirements, I signed a reasonable bill, SB 396, earlier this year, enabling the DES to require a landfill applicant to hire an independent engineer or hydrologist to ensure their proposal landfill meets our permitting requirements. I am open to further changes to our landfill requirements, but these changes must be based on data. Now is not the time to raise additional fees and taxes on our citizens as a result of asking other states to manage our trash. For the reasons stated above, I have vetoed House Bill 1454. Respectfully submitted, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor. So those are his reasons.
So you do understand that Rick Vanderpool is one of the scientists they used, and he was in favor of HB 14.4. I don't know where you stand, but I'm just telling you that scientists have done the research, they've done the studies, and that's how they convinced Republicans and Democrats to vote for that bill. That's how they did it.
He did say in the letter that the sites are lined, I
Right.
assume. Would it be something that's not penetrable as far as,
Right.
It
They-
meets whatever the regulations I don't.
yeah,
Right.
okay.
They're all lined and then they have a runoff pond. If something does get past it.
And,
But
and they've
What-
had
what
leaks.
was the problem? Was
They-
it in May, last May, that the Bethlehem?
They've had leaks.
Had
They've had
leaks.
leaks, yeah.
the runoff pond, so if it rains, you get a heavy rain, those runoff ponds are gonna overflow a little bit.
Right.
So it does spill over, but
So what happens to the runoff? Is it physically removed by something?
It leaches
Or
right
it
in,
just leaches out?
right into the forest lake.
If I remember from
I don't know that answer.
the reading that we did about this when we
First-
sent a letter in the fall, this new bill wanted to make the guidelines so that the distance that a landfill has to be from a body of water is related to the flow rate, at which rate any leaching and everything can reach the body of water. And now it's just a one size fits all 200 feet or 250 feet, whatever it is. And now they want to make, you have to get it engineered, you have to have the land engineered and figure out how long will, and I forget how long they said, was it 5 years? It was like a long,
I think it was,
it should be a really long period of time for that water to filter
Into that.
into, and by the time it gets there, it will be so filtered that it's safer, but.
And I think we should support them. Maybe you feel differently, because if this were happening in your backyard, you would want others to support you. And as I said, this bill was already passed. They already convinced all these politicians that it was necessary for securing the safety of our bodies of water.
I don't understand how he can say there is no data indicating that the
But
line
he can say-
is currently operating and adhering. Except that they are okay by the regulations, but aren't the regulations like 10 years?
Yes, they're outdated. I forget what
Outdated?
year, but they are very outdated.
Well, we're
Anyway, so do
So
we need a motion to approve the letter and then people can vote?
do you want to
Or
work
you
on
wanna
the
discuss
draft, or
it
do you
tonight?
not want to work on the draft? I have a draft and I think we need to modify it. If you have a copy, it was a very rough draft, so I would like to, I would like to add that this affects all of New Hampshire. I would also like to add where it says, I know Charles was pointing out the proper utilization and protection of our natural resources of said city or town. But I would like to also say that protecting the natural resources of the municipalities we serve, we don't have to say that. We can say it's proper stewardship, recognizing that we are an integral part of New Hampshire. So you can use those words and incorporate it or not.
This whole exercise, again, brings to my mind, for any controversy, there are always two different sides. And I was really pleased that we were curious, what was sitting on the state, why would Is it just an absolute SOB or is there a reason why I'm doing this?
Oh, well,
And it doesn't do any good to say it's just an absolute.
No. he's a politician. I mean,
Well, they're all politicians. So I always like to understand both sides of an issue. And he does raise a number of points that are worrisome to me. And I don't know whether the data he provides are good or not. I'm not going to take the time to investigate that. I do understand that if it becomes too difficult to get more landfills here, and I know there is talk about trying to incinerate the trash, but assuming that's not viable statewide, we will be shipping trash outside, but we will have to. I don't like that. That's
So-
the other. There are negatives and there are pluses.
Hopefully, the first step would be stop taking other states' trash before we
Yeah.
eliminate
I
our.
agree with that. We went through the same thing
Yeah.
this year. We're
Well,
taking all of Canada's trash.
we have 49%, as Marcus told us, right? 49% of our trash to our landfill comes from Massachusetts. So, do you know some of that story? Maine has said no more trash from out of state.
Yeah.
Vermont has said no more. So who is getting it?
Okay, but
We
that's-
are.
But that's not the
It
issue
is, it's
here.
part of that. If
That's not.
if
the
they
discussion.
weren't-
The discussion is, do we want as a commission to offer our support for this veto? That's not the
Okay.
same question. Now, that gets to the heart of the issue. And that's why I highlighted this. This is where I did answer right away.
yeah,
On your email. And again, I quote directly from your email.
yeah, this is from her letter. And I just-
Quote, conservation commissions are established by the municipality they represent with the proper utilization and protection of the natural resources and for the protection of watershed resources of said city or town as per RS law. In other words, we are the local boards specifically charged with protecting the natural resources of the municipalities we serve. I take that seriously. I'm trying very hard in my naive ways to be a conscientious commissioner. And I asked early on when they got on this board, what are we supposed to be doing? What is our charge? Our charge is to protect the natural resources of the municipality, Waterville Valley that we serve. I care deeply about natural resource issues all over the state. I care about them all over the country. I'm involved in issues in Peru, but as a commissioner, I am involved and responsible for the resources of this valley. And I don't understand the connection that's being made here, that because our trash goes elsewhere, that we as a conservation commission should be responsible for what damage our trash does when it goes somewhere else. I'm horrified that it does potentially leak into lakes and streams, but where our trash goes, that's not the writ of this commission. There are other organizations within the city, within Waterville Valley, that are agonizing over what to do with that. I'm glad I'm not part of that. But my part of this commission is to do what I can to protect and wisely manage the resources of Waterville Valley. And so we all went in on this, we had this discussion round and round last fall, whatever it was. As I think you know, I really didn't agree with the letter that was sent, but it was sent before we'd actually met on it. I voted because I thought it would be terrible for the vote not to be unanimous once the letter was sent. As for sending a letter now, I don't see how, as a conservation commissioner, I can throw the weight of my part of the commission on something which is outside what is spelled out here is the responsibility of conservation commissioners of Waterville Valley. As much as I might care about it, as much as I may or may not know about that issue, I just don't see why that this is something that we are engaged in, except we're trying to. It's always good to sort of, get together and then support others that need it. But is that what we are supposed to be doing here? I'm not convinced of it yet. That's why I'm being such a stick in the mud about this.
Well, I would say it's not our main charge, but I think we're being asked by another commission, and it's a small state and they're a close neighbor and our trash goes up there. I think that's reason enough in my book to support a letter encouraging a veto override, following on to a letter that we already sent in support of passage of the bill to begin with. But that's just my opinion.
Yes.
That's good.
My comment is trash is a huge problem. Speaking from a past contractor. Trash is a tremendous problem. It's when you're remodeling a kitchen, where are you gonna put that trash? Well, my feeling is that if we don't help trying to figure out this problem, not just in Waterville, I don't want to be just a little closed-minded person. I want to be open-minded to everyone around me, because that's where all of our trash goes, and our state comes. We need to all together figure out some kind of a problem. If we don't get together to do this, we won't figure that out.
I appreciate that.
Those are my thoughts.
Good perspective.
Yeah, so we agree that, I agree with you that it is our main charge to focus on Waterville Valley, but if another conservation commission is asking for our support, what is the problem with that? I'm more than happy to show our support, because again, if this was in your backyard and it was your issue, you would want others' support.
I'm not sure that's a good argument, but I understand what you're saying.
Do we know what the override process entails?
I don't really know.
I do
Yeah.
not believe that they had sufficient, so. If it passes enough in the beginning, it could be veto proof. But I mean, right, so,
Hmm,
but. They didn't have, it was bipartisan, but it was not a large margin. That they'll
Mhm.
pass.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be an uphill
yeah,
battle for them not
Yeah.
getting
yeah.
veto override. But they could do it.
And is
That's what we have.
is there some way we can make more of a difference in getting
Well, to
Yes.
Charles's point, you all have the right to send your state legislators letters and do it as individuals. You're a constituent of a person who's going to vote on this. So 5,
Yeah.
6 letters
Yeah.
instead of one.
Mhm.
You know, if you want to send your own reasons. And,
Right.
you know, going back to Charles' point, you don't do it as a commission,
Mhm.
you do it as individuals.
We could do
You're
that.
still going to let them know that how you individually do.
Okay.
So, those are
That's
very
an approach.
easy. You just go online,
Right.
New Hampshire State Legislature, they have all the email addresses are there. They even tell you who your representative is. So that would be something you can do individually if you don't want to do this.
So there are 2 other comments I want to make from someone else's letter. And this one writes, supporting these bills are compatible with the mission of all New Hampshire Conservation Commissions. And our New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions supports this bill. So there are several bills that we're talking about, not just 1454. I don't want to muddy up the waters, but this one continues to say landfills are not the proper use and protection of natural resources. And in 1990, the state legislature established a hierarchy of waste, which you probably have seen, in which landfills are the least favored method of solid waste disposal. So there's another bill in the State House, maybe it's done with, I don't know, where they vowed to reduce the amount of solid waste going into landfills by 40% by the year 2000, and that goal was never achieved. So you understand that the less you bring to the landfill, the longer it will last. Now we have 49% of the waste going into the landfill from out of state, that leaves less time for you, New Hampshire. Do you get it? So we're pressured by that. So there's a bill to reduce the amount of out-of-state trash. There's a bill to reduce the demolition debris, construction and demolition debris, so that we have more space in the landfill for our waste. So there's all that happening.
Where would,
And so,
where would the demolition and such debris go?
oh,
I mean, how do you?
Mark, can you answer that? There's a way of reusing construction debris. I don't know. I don't remember.
You said there was a bill to reduce
The amount
the
of,
amount of demolition.
yes.
They
So-
didn't explain, that was not explained as to where it would go.
They have to put it somewhere.
But
Yeah.
those are the points that it's time for everyone to get together,
Yeah, they're
do
making,
something about it.
making all these bills, so that we can learn from them. Therefore, we believe everything must be done to divert whatever we can from landfills, and construction debris is particularly important. So,
Don't have the, House vote, but the Senate vote was 16 to 8. So,
Hmm.
it had a 2/3 vote in the Senate, and I'm sorry, I can't find,
mhm.
for some reason, I can't find the House.
Is that 1454?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So there are other bills in the House too. And so I only hear about it, not because I look up what's happening in Concord, but I get emails from different people and say, can you support us? So I try to do the right thing, Charles. I try not to stick my head in the sand. It's important. I think there is another page that says, New Hampshire is falling behind neighboring states in banning food waste and construction and demolition debris. They have devoted significant funds to developing creative, effective solutions to enable better use of resources. Vermont has banned all food waste from landfills. Do you know what percentage of waste goes into the landfill? 24% of our weight that you pay for goes into the landfills. So again, waste diversion is big, and that's why we were promoting waste diversion at the meeting. I don't know what's going on with that progress, but we need to raise awareness. It's costing all of us. I'm getting off my soapbox now.
I just feel overwhelmed with, and don't feel informed enough to make. I don't feel.
Yeah,
I had enough
there was no
information.
count in the House. It was a voice vote. There was no numbers on the House vote.
Mhm.
Really?
So is it September 15th that's the veto override day? Is that-
Yeah.
That's, okay. So September.
Yeah, so you don't know what the House
Mhm.
vote might be on a veto override, and the Senate was 16. And that was ought to pass with them, so
Right.
it's been.
All right. So do I understand that you don't want to sign an official Conservation Commission letter? We'll each write whatever.
Individually,
I
Okay.
wanted to discuss it. I haven't made up my mind. I wanted to.
I would like to
I-
send one as a
I've been-
commission, but if you prefer to have a unanimous, then we can
Mhm.
scrap it and do
So
individual.
the other way the other Conservation Commission signed the letter was just signed it chair and then the member names. So I wrote your names, but it doesn't have to include you if you are not happy with it. I can just say just members of the
Is
CC.
it more effective though, as Mark said, to get?
To get unanimous?
6 or 7 individual letters as opposed to one from a conservation
Well,
commission.
we can do that too.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose we could do it in addition,
Sure.
yeah.
Mark, if we were to do individual letters and sign our name to that, would we sign it as Waterville residents or
Yeah,
Waterville Commission,
Yeah.
Conservation,
Oh, dear.
Waterville's
Residents.
residents?
Oh, wow.
Okay. That's what we have to figure out.
All right.
Which would be more powerful.
There would be more people in town that would be interested in writing a letter.
Yeah, email your friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we'd have to give them, make it easier for them by giving them a draft of a letter. And we haven't edited
Is there a
This draft.
deadline for
Well-
this to be sent? Just
September.
It has to be.
Yeah, get it in next week. Yeah.
Veto override.
Well, just to,
That's the Monday.
to finish this up then.
Yes.
One of my reasons for hesitating for doing this as a commission is because, there may be people who are opposed to overriding this veto. There may be residents of our town who are against overriding the veto for whatever reason they are, because they dearly love Sununu and they do whatever he says. They may
Mhm.
be worried about increased taxes or something. They may buy that whole argument about that. And so, again, as a commission, as a commissioner, should I? Oh, I guess I can just vote my own opinion and ignore the fact that I'm not representing other people. It's just that it's not specifically in our charge. It's something we do as a favor to a neighboring conservation.
We're doing the right
commission.
thing, Charles. That's how I
Yeah,
feel.
that's not always the same thing as what you're supposed to be doing. You should be doing the right thing if that is within what you are empowered to do.
You're mainly, as we said before, you're mainly empowered to focus on Waterville Valley. But you're living in New Hampshire and you know what's going on up there a little
Right.
bit. And
A little bit.
a little bit, we know a little bit.
A little bit. Most
And
of
I
it
think the-
know is from.
Yes,
Yeah.
so again,
Yes.
if you were
Again.
not gonna, if you were not gonna speak for the commission, but speak for yourself. Individually as Charles Hastings. Which way would you go? That's what you gotta ask
Oh,
yourself.
override the veto. No
That's,
question.
that's what you gotta think of.
Okay.
then. If we
That's
do
all right.
individual letters and we're not doing it as a commission.
Right. Yeah,
But there may be a reason to do it as a commission. I didn't mean to
Yeah.
kill that idea. I meant to open it up to discussion.
okay.
And, I guess,
If, if it's, here's a question, if it's unanimous, could we do both?
well, of course we can do that.
All right.
Individuals and as a commission?
Doesn't
All
even
right.
have to be
Do you know,
unanimous. since-
Charles, when I started reading all these sources, Rick Vanderpool chimed in and he was the scientist behind, one of the scientists behind the fact finding. Where they reached the conclusion that they needed more than 200 feet and they needed whatever, how many years to percolate. To me, I trust him.
I don't think Charles isn't questioning the science. I
Well,
don't
he's-
think that's-
You know, I get what Charles is saying too.
Yes.
It's as a commission for the Waterville Valley, this is our box. We can't go outside this box.
I don't really like
But
boxes, so.
I don't like thinking that way at all. I
But
don't.
you know yourselves, we
Yeah.
have the planning board, we
Yeah.
have the select board, we have all those boxes.
Boxes, right.
Yeah,
Do you think that everybody in this town agrees with everything?
No.
no,
So
So,
it's okay.
you know, we're all entitled to our own. If this is something we feel strongly about as a commission, one, as individuals, two, then do your letters.
right.
So the question, do you want a conservation commission letter?
I
Or
think-
just
I think it
individuals?
would be a good backup.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
So,
agree with you.
Let's edit the letter because it's not perfect the way it is. I just threw it together. Based on another conservation commission letter, so.
There was a grammar problem, but I'll get
Well,
to that.
Listen, Charles, I'm putting together all these other
Yeah,
things
yeah,
I
no.
couldn't,
Go ahead.
so. If you want to edit it now, I think it's getting late. We should do it through email.
Yeah.
If you can do that,
Should we make a motion to approve it pending edits
pending the
though,
edits, right?
to make it official?
Yes,
I agree. Assuming that they're not gonna be change the substance, they're just
no,
going to
yeah,
improve the
it's a
readability.
veto override that we're supporting.
Mhm.
So that's the
So do you
So-
want to move?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
I move that we, as a commission, send a letter in support of the veto override for HB 1454. Pending our edits.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I can't vote.
Oh,
Oh.
okay, thank you.
If you
Thank you.
could,
Yes, yes.
I think.
I already see.
We'll work on the draft, I promise.
okay. So as you say, does that mean you're kind of,
I'll
work
wait
on
for
it.
your individual comments and I'll edit the draft and send it out to you.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I don't like this line.
oh, you know, too, we should put a time limit on that.
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
No,
Don't communicate with each other over this. If you have edits, have you sent out the?
Yes.
draft?
Yeah.
Please make your edits, send them to Steve or to me,
okay,
okay? And we will collate those and tell Eric what the edits are. I don't want you guys conversing back and forth. by
Makes
email.
sense.
That's-
Yes.
that's
much
not
better.
fun.
much
So
better.
take our individual edits and
Take
send
your
it to you
individual
too.
edits, take
and
your
you'll-
Okay,
edits,
thank you.
and we'll supply it to Eric. as
Okay.
a Single document. Single document. Okay.
And we should put a time limit on this because it's,
Yeah.
Yes,
it's very.
Yes, time sensitive.
and why don't you send it to both of us, that way if one of us is out, the other one. can
Okay.
be available.
Sure.
Okay, thank you for that.
And please do it if you can by Friday.
By Friday,
And I'll
wow.
get-
Okay,
I'll get it to Eric because we need to finalize it and get it signed and get it
Yes.
PDF back to the legislature by middle of next week.
okay. Thank you very much for that. Mark.
And
And,
two things.
yes.
Before you get whenever you're ready, I have two other items.
oh, before you get to the Osceola 2 trees?
Well, Osceola two is one. of them.
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
All right, we're all ears.
Where is Osceola two?
The very,
Agenda.
very last asterisk, update on the clearing of trees behind.
Okay. There is no shoreline protection issue. We investigated it, the town does not, we monitor, but we do not enforce the
Right.
shoreline protection act. There's a big agency that, an office in DES that does that.
Yes,
So we investigated it, we filled out the complaint form, which you can get online. And actually submitted even as an individual person, you can file a form, but we did that and, the state emailed us back. Jeff has a funny last name, I'm gonna destroy it. Can't find his email, but he basically said the state has looked at the pictures and, that we sent them. And has determined that, sorry, I don't have his name, but that was the, last name. But there is no problem, and they're closing the
complaint.
complaint. I do have there is an information sheet on the Shoreline Protection Act. That I'll provide, anybody can take that if you would like it, it is online. You just go in, Google New Hampshire Shoreline Protection Act, it'll take you to this fact sheet.
Right.
And you can read about it,
Okay.
but the bottom line is they did not disturb the ground, they cut the trees, but
And
the roots are still there, there is not any threat to the slope.
right,
The cutting did not violate the shoreline protection enough
Good.
to be a problem. So they didn't disturb the first 50 feet riparian belt. That's the critical piece, like the bird area along the shores of the stream.
Mhm.
That's the biggest, that's the part you can't disturb.
mhm,
So they were not in that, they were in one of the zones where the cutting can.
right.
So
But was that area considered shoreline protection
it
zone?
is.
Still,
And in fact, I lived there, I lived
Yes.
2 units down. from
Yes.
Where you took
Hmm.
pictures,
Yes.
and the shoreline protection act actually goes on the other side of the buildings. And partway up the walkway, it's 250 feet,
Mhm.
and when you draw a straight line, don't count the hill. But you just do a straight line, it actually encompasses the entire building,
Building, wow.
so.
Wow.
Thank you.
So, but anyway, there is no issue with that, just wanted to let you know that we followed up with that.
Okay,
The other issue is the transfer station.
Yes,
We wanted to give you an update. We're currently working with DES, Solid Waste Bureau. We will not be forming a temporary enclosed transfer station in the current area. We are going to have an administrative order by consent, which means that we will be given time to build the new interim transfer station where we have proposed it up on top of the hill at the sludge drawing. So, and the access will come off to Tecumseh Road and everything that we've talked about before. But we are not going to be made to enclose the dumpsters in their current area. Where the administrative order will be an agreement between the Board of Selectmen and DES that by a date certain, and we haven't set that date, it looks like it'll be somewhere between the end of October and the end of December next year. We will have the new transfer station built and operating, and that it will meet all of the DES requirements for a transfer station. It will be gated, it will be manned when it's open, and all of that. So,
good.
it's just not having to spend the $40,000-50,000 or more.
Good.
Right.
Is very helpful.
Yes,
So, We will continue to work on that. I expect that we'll have the AOC complete by the selectmen's meeting on September 14th. And they will discuss it and vote to get into it.
then no fines or anything?
No, the AOC will have provisions that if we just blow it off and don't build the new transfer station, then we'll be in big trouble at the end of next year.
Sure.
Yeah.
But all of the fines will be retroactive
Oh.
to the date that we sign the AOC.
Oh,
So
great.
the engineers are confident. We're about halfway through the design phase of the new transfer station. We're confident we can get it out to bid by beginning of 23 and start construction in spring and have it done by between October and December.
great,
Okay,
great. So gated and manned.
It will be gated and manned, and we'll have vehicle tags
Oh.
that only residents can
Oh,
be allowed in. And be allowed, so
It will probably add to our staff.
it will add to
Yeah.
the public works department
Right.
staff. There will be substantial costs to do this.
mhm,
And there will be very limited hours compared to.
right,
that's what I was gonna ask. That's
Right.
good.
Probably not more than 3 or 4 days a week.
That's good.
right.
The other thing I was going to ask, Mark, if you're giving permits, are you charging people for the select?
Selectmen have not decided.
Mm.
I'm gonna go talk to them.
Oh,
I think so too.
well,
Every town I've lived in
yeah, we
You
pay,
pay.
we pay.
had to pay
Yeah,
an annual fee
Yeah,
in order, and when they look at your sticker,
Yeah.
you can't get in,
You know
give me the
that.
Sticker, go to town hall,
he knows,
and it's revenue.
That's
oh,
right.
yeah.
you know,
I'm with you, Cindy.
All right, we need to go.
The tree will probably be done this year, right?
Yeah, we're gonna start clearing the trees
Oh.
and stuff this winter.
Is this a new temporary facility or is this a new permanent facility?
This is a new interim.
New interim while the other stuff is
While
all.
we-
Are they designed?
I don't know where the final
Right,
transfer station
Yeah.
will end up after we decommission the lagoons and
Right,
everything.
right.
So we're calling it interim, but it's gonna be at least 5 years.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Okay,
perfect.
all right, last. October 8th, huh?
But not least,
That's right. On October 18th, 2022, we're hoping for a site visit to the lot. We'll do a walkthrough, walk around, something.
No.
Does that date work for everyone?
Works for me.
Okay. Yes. Oh,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not on the agenda.
No.
No, I don't have it.
We can put it in.
Yes, it's on.
I
It's
like
on the agenda, yes. Beautiful poster. And are we gonna have it laminated? Special way,
They don't wrinkle
no wrinkles.
Well,
In fact, we don't have to-
we've been laughing.
They're gonna make us
we're
an
gonna
actual
use it on
sign.
your letterhead.
Oh. Is that
Plants.
right?
Maybe we should have this as far as. we're going.
Maybe.
But I just wanted to be able to say yes to Emma, so she
Yes.
can send what we need. I guess probably to you, Steve, for the JPEG or files or whatever. So if you want some of you.
Yeah,
and
no,
Steve, or-
if you give them to Steve, we'll share them with the rest of the staff and we'll start putting it wherever we can.
And I know that there were some that liked the brown, but I made the executive decision as an artist and speaking with our designer. That-
Yeah,
and Charles.
You don't
I agree. After listening to your
That
response, I
the
agree.
colors go better. with
I
what
agree.
the
Yep.
Valley has.
It very much matches.
Yeah.
Looks good.
The logo.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I thought it was important to incorporate that, so
So will this be part of the signage?
when we get our,
Yes, we can make it.
we're gonna decide.
We'll have the JPEG file.
Yeah.
Okay.
we can decide.
Get tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow.
My goodness.
They're getting-
We can sign
Removable ones or washable ones maybe. But,
Thank you for your work.
Right up in the middle of my. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll see you
Mark.
first.
Mark will be the property of the Conservation Commission.
Oh, dear.
Boy, we put you through the ringer.
No ringer for me.
good meeting.
All right,
Good.
thank you very much. We agree on the date.
Yep.
Okay, so we adjourn at 4:39. Thank you very much, everyone.
And just for input, reach